Good afternoon and welcome to our last episode of the week of Hospo Happy Hour, proudly brought to you by Hospo for Life and Warner's Distillery. Today's episode, we will be talking about managing pain with John Consentino for the first round, followed by the executive chef of Unilever Food Solutions, Andrew Ballard, for last drinks. Let's get today's show started. Joining us back on the show for the first round today, we have John Consentino. John, how are you, mate?
G'day, Liam. I'm great, thanks, mate, and thanks for having me back.
No, my pleasure. So today, tell us about today's topic, managing pain. It's something that I think we all experience one stage through our career. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, thanks, Liam. I think we can all agree, as you just said there, that pain is a universal human experience, so to speak. That sort of happens to all of us, and it can become very, very complex. I've done many talks on pain over the years, and I always ask a standard question, and that is, please raise your hand if you've never experienced pain. And can you have a guess, Liam, on how many people have raised their hand?
I bet a great deal.
Zero, mate. A duck egg.
Wow.
Meaning that everyone at some stage has experienced some degree of pain in their life, or adults or even teenagers. So it's a really interesting topic and very relevant discussion for everyone.
Yeah.
So if we sort of go to the first slide, we can kind of talk through the different types of pain. Many of your viewers might not know that at 100% of the time, pain is actually produced by the brain, and this includes all pain, no matter how it feels, or whether it's sharp or dull or strong or mild, and no matter how long you've had it. So, a lot of your viewers might have had pain for a few days or weeks or months, and this is usually called acute pain.
Yeah.
More common with tissue damage, such as a back injury or ankle sprains or things like that. Usually you're encouraged to stay active, and gradually you get back to your normal life more quickly.
Yeah.
Or you may have pain that lasts for 3 months or more, and this is kind of called chronic pain. And with this type of pain, usually tissue damage is not the issue. It goes beyond that, and what's even more or less clear is what to do about it. People don't know what to do about pain, and there's not a lot of education out there that gets told to people. So people are kind of left with their own devices on how to manage their pain. And in Australia, chronic pain's like a massive problem. It sort of affects about 1 in 5 people. So a lot of people do suffer from it. And having a brain, I guess, that continues to produce pain after the tissues are restored and out of danger is no fun at all. So it's only natural for people to think that something's still wrong. But that's just it. After anything dangerous has been ruled out, such as cancers and tumours and things like that, most things in the body heal as good as they can in 3 months. So it's more about pain produced by the brain, and not actually the structural changes in the body.
Yeah, and I think, it's a big thing across the hospitality industry. We all work long hours, we're on our feet lots, and there's so many other factors which can come in just from that alone. And if you're already in pain, or your body's just not recovering, and that, it just makes it so much harder each day.
That's right. And pain's usually, there's a lot of pain that's actually a build-up, especially if you're in the hospitality industry and you're dealing in, heavy environments, or, prolonged postures like standing for long periods and things like that. The body can only tolerate so much. So once it goes beyond that tolerance, it starts to overload, which means you're going to get inflammation and you're going to get pain. And if you don't manage that, that's just going to continue to increase over and over again, and that's really going to open up your prospects of injury.
That it does.
So if we go to the second slide, I've put together some really practical tips on how to manage pain, which is quite universal, and everybody should be able to take something out of this to help them. I've put the first one there on the list as medication. Now, there's a few things we should know first, when using medication for treatment. And we know that medication can be quite addictive, especially medication called opioids.
Yeah.
opioids are really commonly used for pain relief and often contain poppies or heroin. It's sort of strong. So common opioids that your viewers might have heard of include endone, OxyContin, Tarjan, Tramadol, things like that. And it's interesting to note that Australia's rate of prescription drug addiction was ranked second in the world in 2015, and in 2000, and in 2014, prescription medication was responsible for 71% of drug-related deaths. So all other illicit drugs only accounted for 29%. So it's a massive problem. So, you know, if people are on these types of medication, you know, they should only be really taken for no greater than 3 months, and probably best in the early stages, just to get moving and then tape it off. So if your viewers are taking painkillers and it's not responsible for doing more activity, or it's having little effect, you really need to look at other options and see a health professional. Big problem, pain relieving medication. The next point is maintaining a healthy diet and lifestyle. You know, how we kind of eat and live, such as smoking, taking lots of alcohol consumption, low activity levels. These things may lead to an overstimulated central nervous system and therefore increase our sensitivity to pain.
Smoking can have a big effect on that. And a lot of us in the industry smoke as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it's something people may consider if you've been suffering a lot of chronic pain. Next on the list is reducing stress levels. Reducing stress levels can actually wind down the central nervous system. So things like, you know, simple walking in nature or meditation and yoga can release those happy hormones, those endorphins in the brain. And that often reduces stress levels and anxiety, and therefore reduce sensitivity to pain. Exercise, activity, and maintaining function is really important in reducing pain levels. You know, one of my favorite sayings is that the only way to get back to normal is by doing normal things, because the research tells us that when, you know, we start losing strength 24 hours after an injury, and depending how active we are, we can lose 30 to 40% of strength in 5 to 6 weeks. So if we tend to avoid activities or protect ourselves because of the pain, we essentially get weaker, which means our body can't tolerate the load or activity it once did. So often, you know, we fatigue quicker, our tissues inflame, and this produces pain, or we call this a commonly flare-up. So if you don't restore your strength and function, the pain will often persist long term.
It'll stay there a lot longer.
No, definitely. Now, I guess on the flip side, you know, it's easy for me to say that just do your normal things when you're in pain, but you know, how can you do this when the pain often stops you? And the answer is to often pace yourself. So perform activities within your tolerances or comfort zone. So the body will usually tell you when it's tired or overloaded. So listen to your body and really slow down at that point. You know, an important thing that you need to know is that if you have increased pain when performing activities, the body is trying to warn you against danger. So it's important to listen to the body and slow down or stop. You know, if you're comfortable at the time of performing the activity and you experience pain following, say later at night or the next day, it's usually your body's response to performing activities it hasn't done for a while, or doing more activity, like how you felt when you first went to the gym or went for the run for the first time in 8. Yeah. So this pain, as you know, will most of the time settle down. It will gradually reduce to nothing as you get fitter and stronger.
That's right.
Next on the list is stretching. Now, there's no real conclusive evidence out there that stretching prevents injuries. However, what stretching does do, it unloads overworked tissues. And the right stretching can open up compressed structures, which compress because of overload. And this, when things are actually relieved, they relieve irritation. Now, many people who have been working from home lately may be forced to sit down for long periods of time behind the computer or things like that. And so the postural muscles often will get overloaded because they're not used to sitting for that long. and structures, especially the spine compression, can cause back pain. So the easiest way to manage this type of pain is to get up and have a quick stretch every 10 to 15 minutes to open up the spine and relieve the compression and therefore the irritation.
That's really important.
100%. And I guess the other thing, Liam, is that, with the great news that the hospitality industry is coming out of isolation, a lot of viewers may lack some of the fitness for work, I guess, that can only be maintained while at work. So, so this makes this next point very important, and that's about correct posture and manual handling. Correct posture and manual handling is important at any time, but even more vital now with people returning to work with a lower work fitness. The body can handle you doing the wrong things, such as bending, twisting, overreaching, squatting down too low for long periods of time, for a period of time. But once you have an injury or you lack the strength, or the work strength especially, you will likely not get away with it now. So it's very important that people are aware of the way they do things at work, where, especially now that they're returning to work after a long layoff. And
it's so important. As a chef for over 20 years, I've experienced low back problems, and posture and manual handling is such a big one. And, from working with different physios and chiros, our core muscles, they lose a lot of strength when we're standing in the one spot constantly. And that which then, it's a ripple effect on your back then, because you'll bend the wrong way and then all of a sudden, your back's out or you're in pain, or your disc goes as well. So it's so important, and to use the correct, handling techniques of, bending properly, using your knees, and that when doing things, because otherwise you're just going to be, in a pretty bad place after a couple of months of doing it repetitively. Yeah, well, all these bad techniques, they increase the load put on these areas. So if you're doing it the wrong way all the time, you overload. And if you're doing that day in, day out, eventually something's going to give. And the other thing with core strength is having good core strength really prepares your back for work. And if you've got no core strength, well, then you're relying on your spine. And again, it's got a use by date, and that's where a lot of the injuries come from. So yeah, very, very important with manual handling and maintaining your core strength. And if any of your viewers have been avoiding activities because of pain, to enable us, I guess, to get back to our optimum levels, it's important to gradually resume these activities within tolerances or within the comfort zone. And you will notice as time goes on, what we do will get easier and easier. So it's best not to avoid, resume activities within tolerances. And as the first time when we go to the gym or go for a run or exercise, we're not very good, but as the more we keep doing it, the better and better and better we get. Yeah.
And if we flip over to the last slide, Liam, one of my favourite quotes to leave you with that I use with a lot of my clients. It's by a popular Japanese writer called Haruki Murakami, and he said that pain is inevitable and suffering is optional, which means that we know at some stage in our lives that we are going to experience pain. It's an unavoidable reality, but if you don't manage yourself, it's highly likely that you'll suffer. I liken it to a car with 4 flat tires. If you only pump up one of the tires, the car still won't run properly. You really have to pump up all 4 tires to achieve the best results. And it's the same thing with really managing your chronic pain. If you only apply, one strategy such as the medication or resting, it won't have the desired effect you're ultimately looking for. You really have to apply all the strategies to realize your health potential. So avoiding the suffering is up to you.
No, well, thanks for sharing your tips and tricks on managing pain, John. And,
no problem, mate.
And we have to give you a big Hospo Happy Hour. Thank you for joining us on the show over the last couple of weeks. And it's been fantastic to have your expertise and knowledge to share to our viewers across the series.
Oh, no problem, Lena. It's a great cause, and it's a great thing that you're doing to get mental and physical health out there to to all your viewers, and I hope they've taken away something from it.
Yeah, no, certainly have. Well, thanks again, and take care in the coming months, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
You too. Thanks, Liam, and to all your viewers going back to work, not before time.
Thanks, John.
No problem at all. Thanks, Liam.
Bye. G'day, folks. Today on Healthy Minds, we're going to make a nourishing detox drink for the body. If you've been a little unhealthy lately or put a few too many away with your mates on the weekend, this is perfect for your Monday morning to kickstart your week. We're going to throw in a little bit of spinach, which is a rich source of antioxidants and fantastic for the body. I've got about 15 grams, which I'm just going to throw in the blender. I've also got some banana, which is full of potassium, great for the body. We're just going to chuck in a thumb-sized piece of banana into our drink. I've got some pawpaw, which is full of vitamins. Another great source of antioxidants. Got about an inch piece thickness of pawpaw. So we're going to throw that in the blender as well. Got some cucumber here, which is great to bring up those electrolytes as well. If you're a bit dehydrated. I'm just going to throw in a thumb-sized piece of peeled cucumber. Lovely and fresh. And I've also got some lime here as well, which is very cleansing for the body. So I'm just going to squeeze the juice of one lime into the blender. Now I've also prior just juiced some celery and a couple of green apples. All great liver tonics, great to, detoxify your body as well. So I've got about 100 mils, which I'm going to pop in. Got some coconut water, which is very refreshing as well. I'm going to throw in a couple of 100 mils coconut water, and we can give it a blend. Catch you in a second. So we've given that a blend for 30 seconds. It's beautiful and green, and we can pour it into our glass. Smells absolutely great. Smells great for the body. And there it is, a perfect detox drink to make you feel great. Delicious. Cheers. Up for last drinks and a finish this week, we have special guest Andrew Ballard, who's the executive chef of Unilever Food Solutions. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Liam. Yeah, great to be here, mate.
Yeah, no, brilliant having you here. So talk to me. You've had an absolute wonderful career in hospitality. Can you tell us what you do with Unilever and, how COVID's affected you at the moment?
Well, yeah, COVID certainly was a big shock, and it's so we manufacture products and we supply into sort of casual dining, pubs, clubs, and restaurants, and then also aged care as well. So we've obviously seen with the closure of pubs and clubs, there's been a big hit on our sales and a big hit on the hospitality industry. So we've sort of had to pivot the business, I suppose, which is the word everyone's sort of using these days, to try and sort of reach new customers and also to try and support our existing customers. So it's certainly been a tough time on the hospitality industry.
Yeah, I bet it has. And have you seen like a spike, or has it dropped substantially?
No, look, it has dropped substantially because, as I said, our main channel is pubs, clubs, and restaurants, cafes. So slowly starting to pick up with the sort of relaxation in some states of the laws, and I think South Australia and WA can have sort of a few more people in New South Wales, but with only sort of 10 people allowed in New South Wales, I think it'll be a while to our big customers, the big pub groups reopen.
Yeah, definitely. So with another question that I've been dying to ask. So like we've both been in the industry a long time, and I guess we've probably seen lots of pressures, not just from COVID and that's substantially affected a lot of people's mental health, but other pressures within the industry over the years. How's it played an effect on your career with mental health over the years?
Look, I guess I'm sort of a bit lucky, mate, and I've sort of been on more of the corporate side of things. So I get to sort of work generally better hours and not weekends. So I'm not going to sort of claim that I've gone through all the hard stuff recently, but I think mental health is something that we haven't really spoken about in the industry, and it's sort of been something that was shoved under the carpet. And if you mention it, you're a bit soft or something. But I think there's been a change recently, and I think we want to get more chefs back into the industry, and we want to treat them well. So I think mental health is certainly something that's come up, and how chefs are treated by their the executive chef or their bosses, and how many hours they do, and the pay they get, and also the taking of sort of appropriate leave is something that's come up. So I think mental health is something that we're now starting to really talk about in the food service industry and hospitality, because it does affect chefs, and there's lots of pressures on them working long hours in the kitchens, unsociable hours, and they might sort of go to a party and really want to catch up with a drink or other things. So I think, it's certainly something that's come to the forefront now, where a lot of people and like yourself and other industry leaders are really starting to address this as something that is very important. So
yeah, there's been a big stigma on mental health for years, and I think it's been great to see in the last couple of years that stigma starting to break down bit by bit.
Yep.
Which is opening up for us to help more people out there, and support our teams that we work with as well. What are some ways that you've if you've had any mental health issues over the years, what are some ways that you've gone about helping yourself get through those challenges, Andrew?
Yeah, mate, sure. And I've certainly had some mental health issues over the years, for sure. And I think I'll just sort of talk about COVID. I think recently, and I'm not the world's fittest person, but I've sort of started doing a bit more exercise. So bike riding and walking, and even running, which I haven't done for a long time. But just the feeling I got after sort of doing this exercise was, really set me up for the day, and sort of clear mind and sort of feel like I've achieved something. So certainly exercise, is something recently. And I guess also, work, being in front of a computer or a phone, you can sort of be working at all hours of the day. So it's sort of, to reflect and put down that phone and have some sort of time to yourself. Yeah. And also just catch up with friends, talking to people. So I'm lucky to have a good friend of mine who's a psychologist, and and he's given me some sort of tips. It might even just be controlling your breathing and focusing and these type of things, and more of that healthy lifestyle. So I certainly love a beer and a nice greasy burger, but just really looking at sort of healthier sort of foods, and a smoothie in the morning, mate. And I've cooked it, made a few of the recipes that you've done. I think just those small changes, can make a really big difference to your life. So.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think, from what we've been discussing over the show for the last, few weeks and that about exercise, how good it actually is to get up in the morning and stick to a routine still, and keep that routine, go for a walk, get your day started, and try and keep that normality there, through these times. And that it's been hard. It's hard not to just, sit in front of the TV for the day and, order Uber Eats and stay at home. We've still got to look after ourselves. What are some positive things that we can have a chat about for our viewers coming out of COVID and going forward into the future?
Well, yeah, look, we are sort of hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So, I think that sort of we need to stick together in the hospitality industry. Unfortunately, there's probably going to be quite a few sort of restaurant sort of closures and stuff, but I think it's in terms of other chefs supporting different chefs. So and it might even be other big companies sort of coming together, big suppliers to really support the industry as well with training. So it might be training, might be some mental health seminars or webinars, and I think we're seeing a lot of that around the world in different markets as well, where a lot of big sort of companies come together offering training, upskilling, and also mentorship to really support chefs to get through this. Because when it all opens, it's not exactly like, as you know, mate, working in a kitchen, you don't just flick a switch on, everything's back to normal. It's there's going to be a lot of cost pressures around with people to get back up in business. There's going to be probably less staff they've got to work with because they can't afford it, and also rent as well. So there's going to be a lot of issues, and I think we've sort of just got to come together as a food service industry, and I think that's what we're sort of seeing with a lot of these sort of seminars and webinars, and the great people you've interviewed. I know a lot of them are good friends of mine, Damien Heads and Lindy Milan and Dom Rizzo, and all this. It's about sort of listening to these experts and sort of giving tips to sort of people out there who sort of want some help.
Oh, definitely. And you hit the nail on the head. I think it's still going to take time for us to get back to where things were. But it's been amazing over the last 8 weeks to see the industry actually come together. for once, and support each other in getting through it. So tell us, what's next on the cards for Andrew?
Well, mate, I guess I'm sort of lucky. I'm still in the office, and I still get to go into my kitchen sort of a couple of days a week, which is great. But mate, look, I travel regularly around Australia, and I actually haven't travelled at all this year. I normally sort of do it twice to support our team, and I luckily got a trip overseas to Dubai just before COVID. So, mate, I just want to jump on a plane. I love air travel. I love getting around and seeing our customers and sort of presenting to our customers in all different channels and interacting with industry bodies and, Meat and Livestock Australia and other people. So, mate, I just want to get into a kitchen and travel around and getting back to sort of what I do, which is, promoting our products and trying to sell more stuff.
Yeah, you and me both. And I think we're all a bit sort of travel sick at the moment. We just need to get away and get on a plane and go and do something.
Yeah, correct. I really do miss the airport. I used to sort of think, oh, I'm there too much, but now I'm like, I want to go back. I'm happy to sit there and jump on the plane, and it's certainly something that I really enjoy. So.
Yeah, love it. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us, Andrew. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and all the best for the rest of the year, mate.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. Great to be here, and keep it up. It's a great sort of initiative, Hospo for Life. So congratulations.
No, thanks very much. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. You can catch us back here next week for our final 3 episodes of Hospo Happy Hour. We've got a great week planned for you all at home. Big thanks to our guests today and to Altius Group and Warner's Gin for supporting the show. Stay strong and stay united in spirit to create positive change for a healthier industry. I'm Chef Liam Crawley. Have a great weekend and good night.